Hi, it's the end of the year. It's the first year that I truly became a kind of consistent reader and also started BookTube. This is my first year completed on this BookTube. So I read 53 books right now. There are still like 10 days left, so it could increase. Top 10 list, top 15, like the top 5 are like I just couldn't choose just 10, so like top 10 plus honorable mentions. So let's get started. Okay, so some honorable mention first. So I really started enjoying a lot of romance novels, basically rom-coms. So I tried a lot of famous authors and I tried these 3 famous authors and I truly enjoyed all of them, and they were Emily Henry, Ashley Poston, and also Abby Jimenez. So I read Book Lovers, I read The Dead Romantics, I also read Just for the Summer, which was a 2024 release, and all of them were great. I truly enjoyed a lot of them. All of them were like 5 or like 4.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, if I have to choose one book out of like all the romance books that I read, which is like which were like 4 or 5, I would say I choose Just for the Summer because it was a 2024 release and I related to that book, those characters, and those characters struggle a lot. So Abby Jimenez was a great find this year. So yeah, Just for the Summer was a romance, one of my favorite romance books I read this year. So yeah, I really like romance and I want to try more books like this which have more depth to them other than just the romance. Another book that I enjoyed at the time, but looking back at it, it has some flaws. It has some kind of fillers into it, but I really enjoyed the adaptation of it also. And I'm talking about Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I read it in like February, so kind of forgetting a little bit, but it's about Christmas. It's about, being with your family even during the hard times or during the good times, and like helping each other. And I really like that message. Right now it sets at a good 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. I want to continue with the other books in this series. Yeah, it's a series. A lot of people don't know that, but Little Women is a series. There's like 4 books in here and I've only read the first one and want to try the second one. I know it's gonna make me cry. The first one made me cry too. The last honorable mention that I want to say, this almost made the list, but I just enjoyed the other books a little bit more, but that is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. So this is an amazing book. Don't just let it that it's honorable mention. That's why it's not that good. This book is so experimental, so unique, and such a unique like narrative, and it's a mystery book. Right? It's a mystery fantasy, so you are very like flipping pages to know what is going on in this like labyrinth of a place where there are multiple rooms with multiple like ecosystems, and there's a ocean in the floors, and we have this man called Piranesi who's trying to figure out how he got here and what this place is. There is a mystery of like us trying to understand all, and also Piranesi trying to like general entry like what is going on in this weird world. And it's been adapted into an animated movie. I cannot wait to see the imagery that I imagined, and imagery the director or like animators will put to their spin on it in the movie. It will be a really fun thing to do contrast, because this is very imaginative and I like to see my imagination and also the other people's imaginations come to life. On to the top 10. My 10th favorite book of this year was a very famous YA thriller book, which is Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I've only read the first book. We follow Pip, student who is doing a project, a final year project for like journalism. She tries to uncover this murder that happened in her town, and during uncovering she makes friends, she makes enemies, and she found some dark secrets. This book has a lot of like miscellaneous, you would say, or like different kind of formatting. So there's like interview, phone calls, the murder boards, and the like, you know, the lists. So this is very fun to like tag along to it. And yeah, it's the reason why it's so popular. Also enjoyed the TV series that was released this year. So it's a good year for this book. Like, I really enjoyed the series, I really enjoyed the book, and cannot wait to continue with the series. Let's go to number 9. Okay, so number 9, this is like a personal favorite for me. I know this book might not be the best book ever written, but for me, The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton it's a very fun time. Like, I read this very quickly, and thrillers don't always work for me. I've only tried like 3 or 4s, but these two were really great. So this is like a mystery thriller whodunit kind of story about this man who has forgotten all of his past, everything, and he has been tasked to find out who murdered Evelyn Hardcastle. Mystery series, like, I would love to talk more about this, but I don't want to spoil anything. So yeah, really great book. And I also want to read more books by Stuart Turton. I think there are 3. My number 8 favorite book of this year was James by Percival Everett. So this book was like really highly nominated, really highly like praised, and I get it why. This is my first like book by this author. This book is about Huckleberry Finn. So Huckleberry Finn, it's like a retelling or like a remaster or remake of Huckleberry Finn, which I haven't read, but you can read it without reading that classic. I heard it's really hard. The classic is really hard to understand and read. For modern reader, James was a really good introduction to Huckleberry Finn. It's basically about the side character James, who gets his own story, and that James is actually a slave, a black slave, and he runs away because he's been sold to this other place by his owners, and he runs away to save himself. And by running away, he meets with Finn, who he knows. They both go through this adventure and try to learn more about themselves. At the end of the book, it kind of abruptly changes its tone. It becomes from adventure to like horrifying a little bit, and that kind of like jarred me for a few days while I was reading it. That's why it's a little bit low. But overall, it's a great book. I get it why a lot of people love James, and I also love James. It's a really gripping book, and I just wanna like, if you're still not hooked by James, I just wanna say that there's a line in this book where they talk about how slaves have to talk in their dumb like different dialect to their owners, so their owners don't like kill them or like sell them. Because if they sound smart, if they sound normal, like they would get beaten up, right? So that's how like terrifying it was to be a slave at that time. And it just brings a new light to that, because I don't know a lot of like black history, right? I'm not really familiar with it, so I want to read more books about black history, and James was a really great one to start with, I think. Number 7, which is also another Booker Prize like shortlisted book. This was for international, and then this is The Details by La Ganberg. It's like a 4 short story about the same person narrated together. This is about this person who is fallen ill and contemplating about a narrator who has fallen ill, and they are contemplating about all their relationships with their mother, with their like friends, with their father, and everyone. And it's just, the writing of this is incredible. Like the explanation, some of the like the allegory, the metaphors, you know, the relations, and it's just so like, how can someone think such good lines to like express what I feel is just amazing in this one. And I cannot wait to read more books by like this or by this author. I think there's only one has been translated. I think it's a really short book. I feel seen with this book, right? And I really like that. And the top 6 book I really enjoyed is very famous. It's all on the list of like one of the best books of 21st century, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. So Project Hail Mary is a science fiction novel. I like science fiction as a movie or in like TV shows, but in novels I am not really familiar with it. I've read a few books. I'm planning to fix that. I've bought a lot of more science fiction books by some authors I like, and this one was my first end of year book. Wow, this was great. This was everything I want in a fun sci-fi book. This is so fun. So this is about a lone astronaut who has been stranded on a space. He has been tasked to like find a cure for this disease which has been which the interplanetary disease which has been like eating away the planet of Earth, and like, you know, try to save Earth and try to save the whole universe. And it's a wild ride. There's like I don't want to say anything, but there's like a cute thing, and also the biological aspect, the microbiological aspect, which is my bachelor's, which I'm doing right now. So it's so like cool to see that like be in a science fiction book, because I have never seen that, like how to grow a culture, to how to like mutagenesis, and also the cosmic aspect of it is so like fun. This like feels like you know, like this feels like if Interstellar was a little less sad and a little more fun, right? It feels like that. Okay, I love Interstellar a lot. It's one of my favorite movies. But Project Hail Mary, if the movie is made, I think it could give a run for Interstellar for being very good movie. I think so. I don't know. I hope they do a good adaptation of it. I really want to see the adaptation. I think it's gonna come out 2025 or 2026. So yeah, a lot of books that I read are being adapted or has been adapted, and I really liked them. I really liked the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yeah, and Piranesi, waiting for Piranesi, and waiting for Project Hail Mary too. We are on to top 5. So this top 5 was really hard for me because all of them are amazing. My love, this was kind of heartbreaking, but I had to do it. I had to do a top 5, and funnily, I cannot speak right now. Funnily enough, all of them were fantasy or sci-fi, mostly fantasy. So it was a great year to explore fantasy for me, and I'm going to continue with it. It's my favorite genre, and I want to read a lot more fantasy right now. Starting with number 5, the only like kind of science fiction book in here, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. It's like science fiction horror or maybe a little bit fantasy. So this is a retelling of The Fall of House of Usher, which I have right here. The Fall of House of Usher, and I have not read it. So What Moves the Dead, it's kind of a like retelling, and it explores the meaning behind whatever the disease was going on. I'm not really familiar with it, but I am right now after reading the What Moves the Dead. So this is about Alex Ashton, if I know the name. So they're a soldier from like a country which I don't remember, but that country is really unique because they have like a soldier of any gender, and they follow this new type of pronouns, and it's like very inclusive for them. And so yeah, we have Alex Ashton who goes to their friend's house in this like rural England, and they try to help them with this disease that's been going on in this house. The house is very depressing. There's like weird looking there's like weird looking hairs that's been going on, weird vegetation growth, weird fungi, weird mushrooms. So as I said, I am doing microbiology, so this year I studied mycology and phycology, and this talks about mycology and phycology in a very scientific way, in a very like easy to understand way, but also like kind of accurate way, because a lot of things that happen could probably happen. This is like, if you like the Last of Us lore, the lore of Last of Us series, I think you will enjoy it because it's kind of similar, but I don't want to say anything. It's very short. It's like 150 pages, and I'm really excited to read the sequel, What Feast Test Night, which I think just come out this year or last year. And yeah, What Moves the Dead was my top 5 books, and I recently read it. It's a new addition to the top 5, and I really want to explore this author. This author has a lot of books. They come out with a lot of books, and all of them were highly rated by a lot of people. So yeah, moving on to the top 4. So the top 4th best book I read is Babel by R.F. Kuang or Rebecca Kuang, which is I really love this author. I've only read one book, but I follow them on Instagram. I have bought all of their books. Poppy War right here, Yellow Face right there, and excited to read more of this author. And this book is only like 600 pages, but it feels like a 2000 page or a 1000 page book about how much like stuff is crammed in there, and all of this stuff is great. It has great world building, it has great magic system. The magic system, just let me tell you a little bit, it's like about it's like inscription writing on a metal, on a silver metal, and if you write that, and there's like different like writing techniques and way to enhance that metal, and if you write that, and if you put it on like a mechanical device, it can improve that mechanical device, or like it can like improve it can improve cooling systems or like vehicles, and it's so cool, and it's so very well explained. Along with it, there are great characters, there's a great mystery, or like there's a great political aspect, a great like war aspect, like a dark academia or like secret society aspect. I can say more and more, and this book has all of it, and it does all of them so good. It's so good, and it's just so much fun. It's not fun, okay, and when I'm saying it's so much fun, that I'm so glad I read this book. I adore this book, but I don't think I can read this book again, not in a good mindset anyway, because it's dark. It's very dark. It has a lot of racism in it. It has a lot of like violence in it, and that kind of like puts me a little bit off a little bit, but overall it was necessary, you know. And yeah, I love this book. It's so good. So top 3, only 3 books left. So number 3 was The Will of the Many by James Ellington. So this was one of the first book I read in 2024. I still remember it vividly. It was like a lightning strike. If you know, you know. Anyway, don't want to spoil anything. The Will of the Many is the first book in, I think, probably a long fantasy series. So this is like a Roman inspired kind of like pyramid scheme kind of magic system. So there's like lower people who give their will to the upper people. So they have like their will and also other people's wills, and the top one is the most powerful, and the lower one is the least powerful. So we follow Whis, who is like a prince of like this fallen kingdom, and he's trying to like live his life, but also he gets the opportunity to go to this republic school and try to find out some secrets about the republic, the Ketenan, who like kind of destroyed his kingdom, and try to like expose them and try to like get his revenge of his family, right? And that's so exciting. It's so like there are some moments which are like literally like goosebumps. If you know I'm especially talking about the moment in the middle of the book, and also the final reveal of the book, and that made me like, everyone who has read The Will of the Many, I'm waiting for the next book so much, so much. So this is a great series to hop onto if you are looking for a fun adult fantasy which has great characters. Everything is great world building, great characters, and yeah, excited to see where this series goes. So my number 2 book, this was hard between number 2 and number 1. So I love Stormlight, so I had to put a Stormlight book in here. So this is the only Stormlight book I have completed yet. I'm reading Oathbringer right now. I've finished. I'm talking about the second book, which is Words of Radiance. So my favorite book out of the 3 I have read, the third one I'm reading, is The Way of Kings. I just love, it was the introduction, it was the start, and I love the start of it. So this has to be here. This is such a good book. I cannot tell you what Stormlight is about if you haven't started it. but it's just, where do I start? Stormlight is a part of Cosmere. You don't have to read any other book if you start with Stormlight, but well known that this book are very big, so you might as well start with something else like Mistborn. But the Way of Kings is so the whole Stormlight is about this planet in the Cosmere, which is like a connected universe called Roshar, and in this planet there's like a massive storms which are like always happen. So there's like a cool magic weather system, and these storms, when they come, they give like a power or like a stormlight, which is like a gold bluish like silvery light, to this like rocks and to this like gems. And people use this stormlight, some like special people use this stormlight to fight, to use for their to have their different powers. And we are following a few of the characters in this world who are going to converge together, and there's this war going on, and there's like mystery of the old history of what happened, how we can, it's just I can go long to tell you what Stormlight is about, but it's just give it a try. It's so good. It's reason why this is one of the most famous adult fantasy series ongoing right now, and I get it why. And this book particularly, this book has one of my my favorite character of Stormlight, of course, if you have guessed it, is Kaladin. And there's a lot of great moments related to Kaladin in this book, so it's a personal favorite for me. Words of Radiance, great, it's so good. But the one book that beat Words of Radiance was, can you guess it? It's hard to guess, but it's Swad of Ken by Emil Wong. And this book destroyed me. It really destroyed me. When I think about this book, it's just, my heart breaks for the characters, my heart breaks for Misaki and everyone. And it's just like how can I be so attached to these characters written on ink, on a paper? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So this is also it's a standalone fantasy written by Emil Wong, and I'm really excited to read Blood Over Brighthaven. Very much. I think it's gonna be as great as Sword of Ken. So we follow like this family which is like tasked with defense against this another empire which is trying to like wage a war against their empire. And the government is kind of corrupt, and they have been like kept in black. The family has been kept in like black, that what is really going on in this world. And the magic system is like ice. It's like Avatar: The Last Airbender. This book basically is my top one, is because the emotions I felt of, like, it was unbelievable to me, like how this book progresses and what happens in these books. It's just like I didn't saw that come. I just didn't. And yeah, it's so good, and I'm so glad it's popular. Emil Wong is getting more popular with the other books. And its final, Sword of Ken, was my favorite book I read this year. It's a really close between this and Stormlight. And I just want to say Sword of Ken is a little bit higher because of the emotions I felt. It's so surreal. And love Misaki. Just love Misaki. Like, Misaki is the best character I've read this year, and it's just so good. Go read Sword of Ken, go read Babel, and every other book I have talked about, but I want you to read those two because they are standalone and can be read and enjoyed just one more time. You don't have to read any sequels, and I like that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the books I've talked about. I hope you love the books I've talked about, or want to try the books I've talked about. Every single one of them were great, and I'm hoping to continue with all these authors, continue with reading similar books and different books from different genres in 2025. And I will see you later. Bye. Like and subscribe, and bye bye.